2, 1.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Color Me Poetry. I'm Poet Danny Queen. We're here at the E-Life Media Network, Facebook Live, and we just want to take this time to say welcome. And I also like to welcome my most wonderful guest I've known for many, many years. She's a master educator, she's an author, she's a poet, she's an activist, she's a community activist, and a great friend of mine. I call her Mama Abena Walker, but she is...
Greetings. Hi, I'm Abena Walker.
Yes.
She said, and as they say, lovingly called Mama by people of all
That's right.
ages
Yes.
for all these years.
And
And
Mom, we're glad to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. This
Yeah,
is
you know,
coming full circle. Then.
Yes, because you know we were together years ago at Bowie State University
Yes.
with the original Color Me Poetry.
Yes.
And well, it's just so wonderful to have you here, and excited because you got a new book out, and you're gonna tell us about that. So you can start wherever you want to start. But we want to know who are you and what you've been doing.
All right, and I know I'm going to get the good questions later on. And
You better
I'll be
believe
ready
it.
for that. But as an introduction to our work, and
Yes.
I call it our work, first of all, God did this work through me.
Yes.
Okay.
You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it keeps you humble because we know that it's not humanly possible to do all of this stuff. And
Yes.
so you have
The
to
spirit is in
understand
it.
that there's a spiritual
Yeah.
concept that
It is
functions
indeed.
within us.
Mhm.
And I'm so excited to be here. The community has been waiting for 50 years
Ooh,
for
that
the
long.
publication of this textbook,
Wow.
the first and only one in the world.
And we definitely want to get a close up on that. And the textbook is called
Beyond Theory.
Mhm.
Love that part
Mhm.
because you,
Mhm.
it's beyond theory, but you can't go beyond it unless you know the theory.
That's
So
what I was going to ask you. Why did you call it Beyond Theory?
Yeah, a lot of people can theorize,
Mhm.
but can they set up a program that is successful?
Put the theory in practice.
Put it in practice.
Yes.
Okay, so there's three aspects of all of this work. You have to have the theory, the why of what's happening,
Mhm.
okay? You have to have the whole concept of what's happening, and in terms of education, it's all about the curriculum. That's what's happening.
You know, this is so beautiful because, you know, school is about to start in another
I
week
know.
or so we right on time.
I know. And next week, my dear sister, historic Dr. Benita Emerson
Mm-hmm.
Thompson, Dr. Benita Thompson,
Yes.
who's the only person on the planet who's ever run, operated, and set up African-centered schools. She still has those two schools.
Still
Roots
right.
Activity Learning Center, which was one of the first ones back in the day, and also Roots Public Charter School.
Still here.
I write about her in the book. I've worked with her all of these years. I've helped train teachers in her, in all the schools really, in all the African-centered schools, but definitely hers. And what we're doing this for back to school, she has provided our book for all the parents and the teachers. So if I'm able to do any more programs and classes there, they will already have what they need.
Well, I have a lot of questions about the book, but I want to know, as an educator, how did you get started on this path of Afrocentric education?
Well, I started out, I was a part of the Black Power Pan-Africanist movement.
That's where I want to start.
In the 60s.
Okay.
I graduated from high school in 65. I had a full scholarship back in 65 because black folks in our segregated environments, we were up from slavery. You know, we knew we were going to go to college because we had black teachers who believed in us and hadn't got all this propaganda. Well, they had gotten it, but they didn't deal with it because they know who we are. And I write up, every book I write about the period of segregation. Not that it was, we weren't struggling and up from slavery, but it was a time when we were forced to be together, which is a blessing.
We didn't have a choice. All we had was us.
And what a blessing. Because if we had been all spread out, we wouldn't have held on to the foundation of this book, African-Centered Education. Because people say, well, how did you get into it? How did you write it? First, I studied in the movement.
Yes.
All right. I traveled to Africa. Once you study, you know you got to go home. And I grew up in segregation. where we were still living these concepts.
When all we had was us.
So I first got these concepts living in the west side of Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
That's the only side we could live on.
Put a pin right there, Mama.
I'm putting it there.
Black family. We are all part of the master plan, brothers and sisters in the family of man. I am you and you are me. We are all of the same life tree. And whether we like it or not, you and me is all we got.
That's right.
Black family.
That's what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in some of the families, they always talk about there was a race person. Well, it wasn't a race person. It was a person still of mine.
Yeah, come on, people used to, well, he's a race man.
Yeah.
You know, she's a race woman, you know.
He had been totally, or she had been totally miseducated.
Right,
which
by the
is what
system.
we're going to talk about.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
and even those of us who've been miseducated by the system,
Mhm.
it's an African trying to get out. That's why I have so much patience for my people,
Mhm.
because instead of and I tell my classes, I teach adults, parents, teachers, that a part of the self-hate they've taught us
Mhm.
makes us blame ourselves for what's
400
wrong.
years.
So we take it out on each other.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
the so-called black on black crime. Well, that so-called black on black crime is when you're taught to hate yourself by people in booths that are teaching
And
you.
I'm so glad you said so-called.
And they bring in the drugs and guns to all these self-hating people.
Yes.
Who they gonna shoot up and kill up?
The people who closest to them.
There it is.
Yes.
So it's just, a lot of it is common sense, but when you're miseducated by those who are not only jealous of you, but hate you on a certain level, that is even hard to understand. But, boy, if I lost all my melanin, I'd be pretty sad and sorry myself. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
And in the book, I talk about where they came from, how we migrated. I give the dates and whatever, thanks to Dr. Sheikh and Diop. You know,
Diop, yes.
4,000 years ago, the few that left Africa to venture out got caught in the Ice Age. And as Dr. John Henry Clark says,
Yes. Dr.
over
Henry
half
Clark.
of the world's history was over before
for the
there was
European.
anybody else here
Yes.
but us.
Dr.
And
Clark said, Dr. Ben said, I think Dr. Clark said, we lost 100 million in the Middle Passage alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, another thing I want to talk about real quick also is the importance of the work by Dr. Carter G. Woodson.
I'm going to get on to that right
Oh, okay. Well, I'm ahead of
because
myself.
He's the basis.
Okay.
He's the basis.
Oh, wow.
But I wanted to say, because a lot of people just don't know, because we don't study ourselves.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
is that
You don't
about
know your own.
40,000 years ago, we made that little trip on out of there, out of our home, and got caught in the Ice Age. And not only, we're animals, we're human specimens and spiritual beings, but we adapt just like animals. So when we got caught up there, not only did we lose our melanin, but to protect ourselves from the cold, our hair grew longer and straighter, our noses thinned so it wouldn't hurt us so much. But you see how those who want to keep us down make our adaptation more powerful, more beautiful, more whatever than what it was. And not because we weren't the original beauties of the world, but because we adapted. You know,
We had to.
And lost the melanin because they didn't, we weren't under the sun. And this is why a lot of people know that black people were the original people, because
Yes.
only we could survive that melanin where the first human beings came along. But I just wanted to get that in. So that took
That's
2,000.
important.
We got there 40,000 years ago. It took 20,000 years to make the total transition to become white.
Wow.
Okay? People need to know just world history, because it all started with us.
Well,
You
Dr.
know,
Francis Cress Wilson said they are our children.
Right. She also said they hate us because they're not us.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
she also said that. Yeah,
She
no
also
question.
said
She did.
everything that's got everybody on
You know,
TV talking about white
supremacy.
racism.
White
She's
Dr. Wilson was
smiling.
talking about white supremacy. I know she's smiling
Risking
down
her
from that.
life. Risking
Yeah.
her life for decades.
And you know, some of the students in the class in the Crest Wilson Institute, Mama used to say, Dr. Wilson, are you afraid to talk about it? She said, I'm afraid what might happen if I don't talk about it.
That's right. That's
She used to
right.
say that.
But we got enough people that have paved the way,
Mhm.
now to lead us into Dr. Woodson. They
Yes.
give us the courage to speak the truth, no matter what the consequences.
Mm.
Because we know that God's in charge. When we get the time to do what we got to do, leave our legacy, if it takes 50 years, 100 years, And they'll be reading about us just like Dr. Woodson.
So this book here, Beyond Theory, has been a lot of years in the making, a culmination, if you will.
Yes, yes, because it's, well, I'm going to get on that, but the thing about Dr. Carter G. Woodson is, he wrote his book back in 1933. Talking that stuff back in 1933, when we were, even though we still are, getting lynched. Didn't stop him. He told the truth. And so people like him, Dr. Wilson, all of our people gave us the energy and the courage to do what we got to do. So I don't pray for a long life. I'm a cancer survivor, and it's good for people that are diagnosed with stuff not to take that label on. I didn't acknowledge that I had cancer, which is interesting as well, and you'll see. And I'm going to end today with a poem for my mother, who died of cancer at 49.
49.
49, I'm telling you. And so me and my sisters, we got into I've been a vegan since 70. And people say, I don't believe you till 71. I said, believe it, beloved. I haven't eaten that in many, many years. It helps.
It helps the life. It's the key to life, not even death.
Nothing that had a mother or a face or any product.
And that's a blessing.
And it's discipline.
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
what God gives you to do what Mother, Father God has you here for. And so, you know, so I pray for time to be able to not only get the book done, and I mentioned my dear forerunner, Barbara Sizemore. And I didn't realize it until I was writing the book. I wrote the book in 2000, but at the time my father had just passed, and his book is over there, My Father's Tree. You know, we go all the way back to the books. One of the first one was the Word Magic Praise Songs and Other Poems. That's the one that's got Ode to a Watermelon. Yeah, which is one of his favorites. I'm going to do in a minute.
We're going to go there.
We're going to go there. We're going to go
there. You know I'm going to ask you, Mama, why you write that poem?
Oh, yeah, well, when I get to my notes, I'll get to it, but I'm going with the flow with you because you're covering everything we need to cover.
No, I mean, it's just so much. There's just so much done. And when I think about the contribution of all these people who came before us, I mean, the Honorable Marcus Garvey and
just imagine it every day. Our children are learning about everybody. This movement, African-centered education, doesn't mean you don't study everybody.
Well, yeah, you study everybody,
of course. That's why they fought us so hard in the system, because our curriculum includes all of the geocultural groups, without hate or anything. But you learn about yourself first, which is easy to do because we were first. And
well, we were the first people. Hey,
you learn about everything else in relation to who you are, and you give it in the world. You give it to the world in a loving, spiritual way that only we can do. And that's why we're still doing it.
All these years.
All these years. But here's the deal. Other than being brought up in the segregated Dayton, Ohio, which is recently in the news, it was a blessing, you know, because we saw our people up from slavery. They had businesses. My grandfather at I'll be at the bookstore, Sankofa, on August the 24th.
Now, Sankofa's right here in
D.C. on
George Avenue,
across from Howard
right across from
University.
Howard,
And what they're using for promotion of my presentation and selling of the books and my CD with Brother Ah.
Yes.
I should have brought
and we want to keep him in our prayers.
I'm an hold up person, and we keep Brother Ah in our prayers.
Yes.
And I haven't ever had a school, and I've had at least 9 that I founded or co-founded that he did not teach our children. Not only my own personal, but Kwaku and I, 3 children who have been lauded in the area because they're very cool with what they've accomplished. Like me, we're real modest because they know, and I'm gonna read about some of the things they've done based on the system. They know that they're no more, they're not smarter or more special than anybody
else.
They just have this system.
Now, Mom, let's talk about your own kids as well. You have
yes.
How many kids?
I have 3. Since you brought that up, I'm gonna go have something for them. So my 3 very lucky guinea pigs because
they had you.
well, they had the system. I created the system and did it on them.
First.
Of course. Can't be talking about something and your own aren't
Right.
doing well.
You
They don't have to be perfect,
That don't make
but they got
sense.
to be in the ballpark. You understand
Yes.
what I'm saying? Let me just tell
Wow.
you one thing. I'm going to
Please.
all of the success of the African-centered school.
Okay.
And the main one, which I was going to actually start with.
Okay.
Let me just start.
Yeah, go ahead and start there.
Okay. Because this, brother, I'm here to congratulate the community of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Not only did I have the ancestry, the deities, you know, the Father God, but God sent me here after fighting and getting tear gassed.
I know you went through a lot.
Teaching the first black literature course on the campus of Ohio University,
Wow.
being the first, the
What was that?
youngest and the second black person to run a dormitory.
What was that like, Mom?
Oh, being in the movement?
Yes. I mean, in teaching early on as a young person.
Well, it was all a part of getting to this point. If you develop something, you know something, you want to teach it. And I taught it to all of the different backgrounds on the campus. We fought.
Wow,
Can you
to get it.
imagine?
Yeah. To have
teach
it.
the first black literature course.
Wow. It's part of the
in
curriculum.
system. As a part of the curriculum,
Yeah.
people got credit for it. You know, I'm the first to ever be able to do that. Of course, I was under the auspices of the English department, and I had to do whatever was needed to do. But these are, the whole movement, hundreds and hundreds of black people who were the first this, the first that, the first to hold up their fist at the Olympics, the first to have Muhammad Ali come to the dormitory where I was ahead of. So when the system, when the Ohio University would bring, or we know as Bernice Regan, but they were the Georgia Sea Island singers, and they brought down Muhammad Ali, and
Wow.
all of these people. When they heard about the black folks over on the South Green, they would come over on their own without pay or anything from us. So when they came and they found out that we had Muhammad Ali shaking our hands and giving us encouragement in our dormitory.
Right there on the campus.
Right there on the campus. How much have I been inspired by Bernice Regan for 50 years? She was in
Now, who's Bernice Regan?
Bernice.
Dr. Bernice Regan.
Dr. Bernice Regan.
Yeah, you got to tell us, because there are people listening who don't know that she's a part of.
Right.
She was the leader of Sweetheart in the Rock. Yes.
But at that point, they were called the Georgia Sea Island Singers.
Oh, before they were Sweet Honey.
40, 50 years ago.
Let's see, I didn't know they had a,
Yeah.
when I came along, they were Sweet Honey.
Of course, of course. But this was pre them on their rise with what the Creator had for them. I'm just saying all this to say how blessed I have been on this journey.
Wow.
God put all the right people that I knew then, that I've been inspired with, and taught about in the classroom to people of all races and backgrounds.
You've taught so many people. Some of you didn't know personally, but because of your energy and what you've been doing, you don't know everybody who's been influenced by what you've been teaching all these years.
Well, I get a lot of feedback,
Yeah.
and it's so many, because that thing at Sankofa that's on YouTube right now that she's using, everybody in there was a part of the movement. I had children who got hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know. And that's why I know it was God's work, because I was Steve, the little gal from Dayton, Ohio. I have a business called Dollars for Scholars that I started with my 3 children in the 90s.
I remember that.
They got $500,000.
Well, I didn't know you had anything to do with that.
Oh, that's me.
I didn't
have any staff or any funding, and I've totally now over $3 million for students in this area of all the 5 geocultural groups, all the races. Everybody needs African-centered education.
Everybody don't know they need it.
Well, they read the book, they'll know.
Yes.
But they may have to know to read the book. But I get the word out. We're getting it out now.
And that's why we're here.
From all over.
Today, because it needs. Matter of fact, we need to get a shot. Can we get a close up of this? This is wonderful, and we're going to talk about the process. How did the cover come about, Mom? This cover here is
It's
absolutely.
a beautiful, well, one of my 3 children
Mm-hmm.
who can do this because they had the African Center Education,
Mhm.
help design.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
they know about the African spiritual colors because we
Mhm.
grew up
Oh,
with
that's beautiful.
the
Yes. Mhm.
Temple of Inyame.
Mhm.
One of my great teachers was and is now Kwabena Amwaji,
Okay.
who is the founder of the African Cultural and Religious Society and the Temple of Inyame. He's a chief priest, was trained in Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been all over the world. His family started it as well, and then his mother and ancestors passed it on to him. And I know you know Nana Kwabena.
Yes, of course I know
So,
Nana Kwame.
you do.
I did a poem at a wedding that they performed a couple years ago,
Oh,
right here at the
right.
at the center here.
Well, let me share this real quick. It won't take a second, but it kind of encompasses all the
Okay.
questions to what you
Please.
asked, and then we'll go from there. As I say, this is a congratulations to the community of Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
for understanding the following quote from the National Geographic Society
Mm-hmm.
long before they wrote it in 1990. And it says, traditional African education is Earth's oldest educational system, which offers insights into current concerns and a heritage of teaching and passing on of knowledge. So those who know the original folks, they've been studying our educational system, even more so now since theirs is such a mess for everybody, you know. And our people, we just go and do our best. We're not a cheating folks, you know. And I wrote this back in 20, 30 years ago about the people that are cheating and paying people to take the test
And all of
getting
that.
the answers to the test. We don't do that.
No.
We just do our best.
Because when you do that, you're just cheating yourself.
Well, that's what people say, well, what's the difference between the African and the Euro-American
Okay.
educational
System.
system?
Mhm.
The main difference is that African education is based on teaching character.
Mhm.
And from strong character comes success in any endeavors in life.
Building character.
Okay,
Mhm.
so that's a reason why I'm not saying some of us don't cheat or we learn to do what we were taught to do, but I'm saying by and large, we just try to go and do the best that we can. The few of us that get opportunities to get to that point, you know.
Yes.
And so it's just so sad, and that's why I'm going to share what our students have done, not to brag.
Mhm.
Somebody always says, if you're bragging, if you've done it, you're not bragging, you know. But I share information to show people what are the possibilities.
What can be done.
What can be
Yes.
done. Because we've taught that there's nothing we can do because we haven't done nothing. And we can't,
Well, yeah,
we can't
we've
say
always been
anything
taught that.
because
We have
we
done
didn't haven't learned who we were because somebody
Wow.
else is keeping us oppressed, which
Mhm.
where Dr. Carter Woodson comes along.
Oh, yes.
So back, he wrote the book in 1933.
Well, let's say what the book is.
Miseducation of the Negro.
Yes,
by
because there are
Carter
people
G.
listening
Woodson.
who don't
I'm
necessarily
sorry.
know that.
By Carter G. Woodson.
Mhm.
He's the father of it all in terms of pushing for the history. He started the first
Mhm.
concept, not just the Black History. No, well, it used to be Negro History Week.
Right, it all started with him.
Then we got up to Black History Month.
So he's the father
And
of Black
now
history.
we're all saying that every day you got to read it, and
Yes.
he gave us a blueprint.
For it, yes.
So what he did, he taught us why we're miseducated and how it happened. So that helped me to take that book all over the world and here in DC,
Mhm.
so we can understand that if we know why and how it was done, we can undo it.
Mm.
So part of this book are exercises in helping people of all backgrounds.
Mhm.
If you were taught that you're better than everybody else because of your skin color,
Mhm.
you're miseducated.
Mhm.
If you're taught that you're worse than everybody else because of your skin color, you're miseducated.
The great thing about that book in particular, is that when I read it, it was so relevant. It's almost like he wrote it yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he was ahead of his time.
Today.
Wow.
He wasn't ahead of his time.
He was right on time.
He was right on time. This is like the race person.
Yes.
They're not the race person. They're just still in their right mind.
Mhm.
thank God.
Wow.
But the whole concept of what he did, see, that's why I say beyond theory. He gave us the theory of why we were miseducated. And he gave us the concept of how we were miseducated.
Wow.
And so when I study all of that, or we study all of that, we know how to undo that.
Yes, what's
and
been
that's
done.
what this book is about. And if the adults don't undo their miseducation, we're not going to make it, because we're continuing to miseducate our children. We're passing it on with good intentions.
But we're teaching the adults, but we're also teaching the teachers how to teach.
Right.
Yes, not
Well,
just
let
the
me
young
mention
people.
that is so important about the history that the DC community made. I'm a collective person. I was just one part of it, you know.
Yes.
But what we were able to do for these past 50 years is open the first and only African-centered educational model school in the American public school system. You know how we fought to get in? We lasted
Yeah, I know,
for
but we talked about it years ago.
We lasted for 5 years, but what we did is all documented and
It's
can be redone.
Yes, it can be redone.
Yes, I got attacked.
We did it once, we'll
I
do
got
it again.
attacked in the newspapers, as you
Yes,
remember, 2
I
or 3 or
remember.
4 times a day.
Yes.
And certain people in the press defended the African-centered movement, one of the first in the country in terms of a national known newspaper was, of course, Dorothy H. Gilliam. She just wrote her book about being a trailblazer. She was the first black woman to be a reporter at the Washington Post.
Yes.
Yes.
I know that.
And so it took a lot of courage, and she got a lot of, you know, feedback in terms of that. But the fact that she was the first to do that opened the doors, and I talk about her in there. And the other was the media; they were on fire. I lived on the air, as you remember.
Yeah, it was.
And the one that kept me on the air for many years was Sister Wonderful Kathy Hughes.
Kathy Hughes, yes.
Kathy
Radio
Hughes.
1, yes.
Without her,
Blessed be her
this
name.
wouldn't be happening.
Wow.
You know, I'd get on there at 9 in the morning. By 12 o'clock, when I got home, it's the 40 people signing up for the classes.
Now, Mom, is there an excerpt you want to read from the book, or something you want to read from the book?
Well, yeah. But anyway, I did get to the part about, you know.
Oh, okay, good. You want to finish that first?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's coming next.
Okay.
Okay. So it says that for the past 50 years, I've researched and utilized this system that they talk about in the National Geographic. And as you said, I've taught from preschool through the university level. And people that I've taught on the university levels are parents and teachers. And we were able to get through working with people inside the system to get the original coursework accredited.
And that took a lot,
Remember
didn't
they
it?
used to talk about, oh, they've got these unaccredited courses and all this foolishness. Students were able to get recertification and recertifications through the DC public school system and graduate credits through Trinity College. That's what they should be talking about.
But they didn't focus on that. Yeah.
But it's in here. So that's an accomplishment God worked through our community.
So it's all documented in this book.
Yes. Everything. In fact, the people they hired to analyze the program and evaluate it, a great man from Howard University, Dr. Aaron Steele, he said that it should be citywide.
It should be implemented throughout the city.
And he documented how superior it was to any other school in the system.
Yeah,
Not only
but
that,
the powers that be wasn't trying to hear that.
oh no, they kept firing
And fighting.
Any superintendent that supported us was fired. The first one, every one of them.
Yeah.
The first one
Yeah, I
was
remember,
Dr.
yeah.
Andrew Jenkins,
Jenkins, yes.
who is, of course,
So
in the
did.
book. Everybody's in the book. It's like 5 books in one.
Wow.
You know, through the meetings and the lectures at Tony Browder's program, through hearing us speak and whatever, you know, the African came out like it had come out of us. And he said, he got, oh man, before he fired, he got lambasted for opening the doors.
It's a lot of
in
controversy.
1993. He gave me 2
I remember
years.
that, yes.
I know, he gave me 2 years to train all the parents and teachers. And
the attacks were vicious.
Oh, they were vicious. Just silly, silly stuff.
But we're not going to focus that because they are who they are.
Yeah, they are who they are, and I don't give them any.
Any giving away.
Yeah. I'm just saying that because
it's part of the story, though.
It just came up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to read something from it, but just so I give the community credit for this book, and I give the creator the credit for having me honored by having the pioneer of this whole movement to infuse African and African-centered education.
Hold it up once
and to infuse African culture and history in the curricula for every school on the planet. It's Dr. Asa G. Hilliard.
The late Dr. Asa Hilliard.
I was blessed to.
Brilliant brother. Brilliant scholar.
His daughter, beautiful daughter Patricia, heard me speak and do my poetry up here. And she called and said, "Dad, you got to come. When this lady speaks again, you got to come in here and speak." Well, that sweet. He came and heard me speak.
Wow.
And I traveled all over the country.
Because he was a psychiatrist, educational.
Everybody.
Child psychiatrist as well.
Wherever you get your information.
Yes.
Whether you
Brilliant.
Google or whatever.
Brilliant scholar.
So many books.
Mm-hmm.
I have a term called beyond brilliant, which is all of us really, thanks to the melanin. And I always think about Dr. Dyson, Michael Eric Dyson.
Yes.
Just beyond brilliant.
Brilliant.
You know.
Brilliant brother. I'd love to hear him speak.
And all of us are, but we just don't know it. You know. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to share
an excerpt. Yes.
And the first excerpt you brought up.
Let's get the title now. This is an excerpt from Beyond Theory.
This is from Beyond Theory, okay? A blueprint to implement African-centered education. It's a textbook for parents and teachers, all adults.
Okay, now let me say real quick, to those who may be just tuning in, we're talking with Abena Walker. She's the educator, she's the author, she's a poet, and she's my friend, and she's a bad poet and activist. All right, Mama Walker.
All right. Got to get my assistants here. Okay, now, as I told you guys, I told you all that my children were fortunate to, and they were homeschooled. We started all this at home.
Well, I mean, you homeschooling back then.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody wish they could do it. A lot of people do, but it's a lot you have to.
That's what I was going to ask you. What does it entail to homeschool? And you were doing it what, 30 years ago?
Yeah. A lot of people were.
Well, a lot of people doing it now.
Well, yeah.
But not then, was it?
Yeah. Well, no. And one of the people was that helped promote it, because he went through what I went through. Is the European American John Holt. He fought like we had done in the system to change it, and I use a lot of his quotations. He had books like How Children Failed, why, all those kinds of things.
Were they? Let me say this: were the state requirements or citywide requirements? I mean, you had to go through a lot.
Well, yeah, you have to go through a lot. You have to go through a lot, so you will be able to use all your information when they transfer.
But you were a teacher already.
Well, yeah. I have
and your
graduated with honors at Ohio University
so.
With a degree in education. Now, I knew it was the wrong kind of education even then, but you got to know what you're working against. Because if you want to change it, you have to know what's wrong. And luckily, if you have a area you can go to, African education, then you have something to change it to. And one of the things that parents and teachers love is the contrast. Not in a negative sense, because I also have been blessed to have not just Dr. Hilliard in the book, but Dr. Edwin Nichols.
Oh, wow. Another scholar. Dr. Edwin Nichols. Yes, I'm very familiar with him.
Oh, my God. His chart is in here.
Yes. You talk about, what's the word? I can't pronounce it.
Epistemology. All of this stuff is in here. We may get to it, whatever. But I've used this chart over the years because what he's saying is that people are different from a psychological background and from how they were brought up. You know, if you brought up in the ice, it'll be a little more icy than people brought up in the sun.
You know, I know. That's right.
But he doesn't do it in a, it's not negative. It's so everybody will know who everybody is because we're all in here now. But, so what I'm able to do is to use his work for whatever culture that I have. Or whether it's an all-black school or all-white school or wherever the children are. I know the learning process for each race, for each geocultural group. And I'm, of course, all of it's based on African culture.
Yes.
But as things change and whatever, you can relate all of that back to the original and use different aspects. For example, African epistemology is how you know knowledge. Okay, the way African people and Native Americans are in that concept, some of it is more spiritual, how you know knowledge. It's not just counting and measuring and memorizing stuff.
Yeah, that's some
and
people's
reading page 800 to 850 and answer 75 questions at the end of the chapter. We've done those people. They don't want to go to school. Well, you read this book, you'll know. Or just ask them.
Well, you read this book,
just ask the
it's like taking the course.
Just ask the children. When they closed down the school, our African-centered school, I had to go serve time in the PG County Public School. It's not to put them down, it's just a regular system. I spent so much time in the hall trying to save our black children from mental, physical, and verbal abuse. And, you know, it's all in here. It's just a different thing. Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mom.
Okay, this is, as I said, my children are very modest, but they had this program. And I took this program into the public school system. And so just to say, just to share with you, it says that the spirit of our system is alive and well. This is back in the day. This is in the preface. Starting with the birth of our son in 1974 and continuing with the birth of our daughters in 79 and 81. We tested this system for 13 years in our homeschool program, which grew into community school after residents of the Washington metropolitan area, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, heard about the success of our 3 students. Specifically, our 3 children received over $500,000 in scholarship offers through my program. Okay, and I'm in my 2nd generation. My granddaughter, who's 23, received a full scholarship to Morgan. She graduated in biology and chemistry with all kind of honors and publicity, published work, because our people are the original writers, readers, speakers. Anything that has to do with communication is a genius for us. And all of our children are geniuses. So it just breaks your heart when you know that they're graduating our children who can't read. You know,
well,
so you gotta have
that shouldn't happen, but
you gotta have it. So anyway, it says we keep track of what is offered and what students actually accept. We want the public to know that our students were sought after by many colleges and universities. Of course, students can only accept money from the one school they choose. This is important. For example, my older daughter, Yao, was offered full scholarships from 3 universities and from our program, and full tuition scholarships from 2 others. She actually accepted $130,000 from the school she had always wanted to attend and was featured in Ebony magazine's list of America's top scholars. She was the first student in Spelman College history to receive both the Presidential Scholarship. The historic Dr. Dr. Janetta Coles was president at the time. That was $80,000. And the Women in Science and Engineering WISE Scholarship, that's $50,000.
Wow.
Through the WISE program, she earned 2 degrees in 5 years, a degree in physics from Spelman, magna cum laude. She earned 2 degrees in 5 years. In addition to that physics degree from Spelman, as I mentioned, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, the National Honor Society, and Sigma Phi Sigma, the Physics National Honor Society, and a degree in engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology honor student and dean's list.
Beautiful.
And they didn't want them little black girls over there from Spelman. I had to
I
go
know
up
they
there
didn't.
and fight because they were
For it,
discriminating.
yes.
No, they were in, but they were discriminating at Georgia Tech against the black students and the Hispanics and people of color, just like today.
Yes.
But if we won that case, because we don't play.
What year was that, Mom?
That was let's see, the end of the 1990s.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Still going on.
So your
today.
kids are recipients of all of this.
All of this. And finally, after she did all that, because they all have a choice. Well, I'll give students where they want. My children had a choice to start at the historic black universities.
Wow.
And then if they wanted to stretch out, and not stretch out in a way that
Okay.
everything they need isn't there, but if they get an opportunity or whatever.
So
So after she did all of this, she just went on and earned an MBA at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
That's
I know
one
you're so
child.
proud.
Yeah, I'm proud
Yes.
of African education.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the interest of time, I want to also, I want to hear some of your writings, some of the poetry as well, because you know you owe me something,
Uh-oh.
and I want my poem. I want my watermelon,
Uh-oh.
and I need it.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite poems by Mama Abena Walker, and I used to always after her about it all the time. Was two pieces I love, isn't it, Mom?
Oh yeah, that and Come Out Black Girl,
Come Out Black
my
Girl.
signature poem. A lot of
Yes.
people out there are, some may have.
Tell about how you first did that. Come Out Black Girl. 'Cause I see you perform it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
I did a big
amazing.
performance at Union Temple Baptist Church back in the day. I might have been
Wow.
in the 70s. And I come out in this costume
Yes.
because I'm trying to be a model on the back cover of a magazine.
Mm.
On the back cover.
Lord
now,
have mercy.
so I come out in my blonde wig, my coat, it's not fur, but my coat,
Wow.
and I come up to DC or wherever to audition with Pierre for the back cover of Be What You Ain't magazine. So about 3 minutes he told me that my eyes were too big, so I'm crunching my eyes, my lips are too big, and I'm doing this, my hair is nappy, and I'm pushing it up under that blonde wig, and all of that foolishness. And
Wow.
people just crack up. A couple times I've done it, they didn't know it was me.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was you either when I first seen it.
So anyway, then the audience, when he finally just tells me all kind of negative things.
Well, and you would say,
And I just dropped to the ground. Because I feel like I had done everything. I told him I had a new name, Tiffany Monique Von Smithy Bourgeois, and that didn't help either. So I get on down there, and the audience knows to say, "Come out, come out, come out, black girl." You were there, you said it too.
Come out, black girl.
So while they're saying that, I get on down, and while I'm down, I take off the wig, had a good nappy hairdo or braids. I take off the coat. I have my African outfit on, and I get all of that, and I stand up and say, "Come out, black girl."
Can you give us a little piece of that?
Come out, black girl. Come out of the shadows of self-hate and find something to like about yourself. Oh, sisters, I know it's a monumental task for a queen, historically mislabeled wench, whore, hoe, hussy, slut, piece, meat, beef, bitch, buried from the weight of being called out of your name. Oh, come out, black girl. Come out of the shadows of worthlessness and find something to love about yourself. I know it's a monumental task for a ray of God's light, born and dropped into a mud hole, created by a nation of gray swine that slings dirt into the eyes of your beholders. Let me get to the hair. Some folks talk about your hair being naps. Oh, now my sisters, no matter whether you rub it, scrub it, press it, caress it, wave it, shave it, whirl it, jerry curl it, wig it, weave it, relax it, or put it to sleep. they still gonna say you need to fix it every 2 weeks. You don't need fixing, black girl. Ain't nothing broke about you but your spirit that's fighting to stand you up tall, so you can see your beauty reflected in all that you are, in all that you touch, in all that you have always been. So come out, black girl, for you are truly a beautiful, majestic African woman. You pulled it out of me there. I couldn't go without sharing that with the sisters and brothers.
But I want my watermelon for him, but I'm going to do this.
Well, we have time at the end.
Okay, don't forget it now. Do it for the children. Do it for the children, and do it for the children. In the love of every man, woman, boy, and girl, you can find the key to the heart of the world. For each and every one, got to find a better way to do what some say just can't be done. Do it for the children, and all that you do and say, do it for the children. A lifetime of love got to be a better way. Do it for the children. Teach the children the truth. The innocence of a child is a seed of truth for all to see. Teach the children the truth. They're the fruit of the family tree. There's so much that the world needs that there's just a little love. But all we really got to do is give a little more love. Do it for the children, and all that you do and say, do it for the children. A lifetime of love got to be a better way. Do it for the children. Teach the children the truth. It's all about the children.
We've always reinforced each other's work, you know?
That's right. But that's what we have to do.
We have to do
as a collective.
And I just share, because I know time is short, I just share people to put on their calendar. You might hear about it through the media, however. August 24th, next Saturday, at 4 o'clock.
Oh.
I will be performing with more time, a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
And book signing.
As well, yes.
As
the
well,
new book,
and supporting
Beyond Theory.
Beyond Theory.
Now, where can we get Beyond Theory?
Well, if you have the name Beyond Theory, Blueprint to Implement African-Centered Education, you have our name, Abena Walker.
Yes.
You can look it up on Amazon.
Okay.
And even if you don't have the link, I've been sending out the link to people. Somebody, one brother said, "Oh man, I just went to Google, put your name in, and I said I needed a book on African-Centered Education, and there was 2 listed." I said, "Oh, good. We'll make a lot of sales."
Yeah.
You know, and he got the book the next day.
Wow.
So you can come to the, I'll be having it around bookstores, but I definitely wanted to promote Sankofa.
Yes.
And all that they have done,
and continue to do.
All that they continue to do.
Yes.
And so I want people to come out and support them.
Now, for people who want to
support me,
yes,
getting this work out, all the proceeds of what I've ever made over 50 years has gone into these programs.
And you put it back into the program.
I never had staff, and I never had, people that bring in money or send money to
they used to say,
I think that will change.
They used to say shoestring budget.
Oh yeah. You do
but
what
for
you
people,
got to do.
For people who wanted to have you to come and speak and to share, how could they get in touch with you? Is there a website or?
Well, at this point, I'm working on all of that, but I have. I have to take this off. I have a P.O. box.
Okay.
And we're working on the different things that we need in terms of my Gmail. I got the email. I got all of that stuff, you know. But at this point, where things are,
it's important.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have you back. We're definitely gonna have you back.
I don't want to take from that, but I'll find
so
it.
we would definitely bring you back because a book like this. Now, for a book like this, what is it that you want overall? That you want the community, not just community, but the world, to learn about this book and the African-centered education.
Yeah, if they want to know what it is, if they want to undo its force on everybody on the planet,
yes,
especially themselves, then
start with yourself.
It's here. We have got different process to undo anything for our children. We have to undo it ourselves. So we use this book to undo. I've got exercises in there. When I go to groups next week, we do partnership work, And everybody will start on the process in here of using Carter Woodson's book on all the things he lists that we were educated about.
Oh.
We pick the ones, and it's a lifelong process. You take 10 that you did internalize, why, how it manifested in your behavior, and how you have or will undo it.
So,
And then the other part, then take 5, that for some reason, by the grace of God, you didn't take it in.
okay.
You didn't dislike your black skin. You didn't hate your African Creole or the so-called black English or whatever. I teach people how to teach our children as a second language. And a lot of people would be sad, oh, no, that's your second language. Your first language are the African languages which we teach. So there's certain African concepts that don't translate over into the European languages. For instance, there's no word in any African languages for alone.
Really?
Or lonely. Because we know you can't be that as a spiritual being.
Now,
wow,
that's interesting.
Every day. She passed it.
There's no word for alone. Maybe because we are alone. Maybe because we aren't alone.
We can't be alone. We got all our ancestors.
Yeah.
We got
And they speak to us.
God. We got, and this is a part of, and it's not religion. It's spirituality.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Because some people say, well, spirituality, religion, it's all the same.
Well, some people, no. Religion is the practice of what you do. You know, organized practice. Or I'm a Christian, I'm an Akan, I'm whatever. The spirituality is how you practice that in your everyday
life.
Yeah. And the difference between our spirituality and the others is, ours is I am because we are, therefore I am. I think you said that in one of the things you read earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and everybody needs that.
Well, I'm going to read another piece that talks about I am too, because it's simply entitled, Because I Am Special. Because I'm special, I have my sense of self and it's not for sale. I know who I am and I refuse to fail. The power of I am is the mind's master key, for the way of the will is a life force in you and me. The sacred source of all life's wealth is simply in how you look at yourself. Because I'm special, I know who I am, I've got the power to succeed, and in the spirit of faith, I got all that I need. A blessing in disguise of evidence of things not seen is a secret of success and a seed of self-esteem. Because I am that I am, there's no way I can let myself down. Hang-ups and setbacks are only stepping stones to higher ground. Because I'm special, I have my sense of self and it's not for sale. I know who I am and I refuse to fail just because I'm special.
And you're so special because we are praise singers. And I talk about that in Word Magic, praise songs, and other poems. The original poets were griots, of course.
Yes,
who taught through creativity, through the words, and who also sang praises of everything. People, items, fruit. And if I have time, I'll show you one of my favorite praise songs is yours. Ode to a Watermelon.
Yeah, can we do that now?
Well,
okay, you got other things you want to?
No, I just want to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about that poem, but I mean, what made you when you first read that poem? That was just so beautiful for me, and I was like, how did you come up with something like that? And what's the story behind it?
Well, it's because, as Carter Woodson says, I'll read this.
Okay.
It's a short thing that I read everywhere that I go.
All right.
To get people to read Dr. Woodson's work.
Yes.
And it's a nutshell.
He wrote a lot of books.
It's all of it. But this is his signature paragraph, I feel.
Okay.
The educated Negroes, quote unquote, educated Negroes had the attitude of contempt toward their own people, because in their own as well as in their mixed schools, Negroes are taught to admire the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin, and the Teuton, and to despise the African. To despise the African. As another has well said, to handicap a student by teaching him that his black face is a curse and his struggle to change his condition hopeless is the worst sort of lynching. It kills one's aspirations and dooms him to vagabondage and crime. It is strange that friends of truth and promoters of freedom have not risen up against the present propaganda in the schools in 1933 and crushed it. This crusade is more important than the anti-lynching movement, the anti-killing my babies on the street about walking about being black movement, because there would be no lynching if it did not start in the classroom. Why not exploit, enslave, or exterminate a class of people that everybody is taught to regard as inferior? You talk about courage in 1933. So if we are taught to hate ourselves, our goal, whether we got a textbook or not, is to figure out how to learn to love ourselves by knowing who we are and spreading that. So what Woodson is saying, we got to stop talking about when black people do this and black people do that. We know, because he tells you what they do, and we see it every day. When you know who we are, you know what our mantra is? I wonder how our people function at all. Isn't that a lot different than all black folks do this and that do this?
Yeah, because we're not monolithic more than anybody else.
I don't know we function at all. You know, and we still don't do some of the things, although we're getting close to what those who miseducate us have taught us to do.
Yeah.
You know, when the brother was out there sniping and whatever, it was like the old days. We would read Jerry. He said, well, we know that wasn't us.
Yeah.
So we know that wasn't. When we found out,
we knew,
even those of us who know what's going on, it was like, whoa, you know. So how did I get to the poem on watermelon? I said, these people are so powerful. They can make us ashamed of something as good as a watermelon because it came from Africa. So we got people who, well, you know, I don't eat watermelon still. What? Oh, well, I'll have a piece. Do you have a fork? What? I said, this is sick. This is a powerful system. So for Danny Queen, that's why I wrote that poem, and that's why he loves it so much.
You better believe it.
As an African griot who sings the praises, this is the ode to a watermelon.
Come on with it.
Come on now. How do I love thee? I can't count the ways. Mellow melon, gentle and understanding by experience. Red, black, and green liberation fruit, freeing me from the hate of the world. I said black seeds in a red sunset on a green horizon, freeing me from the weight of the world. You know, I spent a childhood planting your seeds in my backyard, swallowed enough of them to give birth to Africa. My sun fruit, my fun fruit, message from a homeland, linked to a past. I bathe my insides with your cleansing, purifying waters, life-quenching, cooling, refreshing as a still Ghanaian night. Oh, watermelon, you are pregnant and ripe with the lively air of family reunions, with the barbecue laughter of picnic pleasures, with the jiving and conniving of boisterous black folk round the rickety card table. Oh, watermelon, how do I love thee? I can't count the ways.
Wow.
For my daddy. For my daddy. And so one of the other things that I wanted to
we wanted to talk about this.
We haven't talked about that. Well, like I said, August 24th.
Okay.
Not only will this book be on sale.
Yes.
At Sankofa Bookstore.
You'll be performing as well.
Yes.
You'll be performing
I'll
as
be
well.
performing. And CD that Brother I and I did years ago, Family Poems.
Yes.
Poems with him and with his music.
Yes.
Okay. This will be, I think, reprinted just for that day. Many of you familiar with my Kwanzaa book.
Yes, ma'am.
And so a lot of things will be there for you to get and take home.
I thank you. I thank you so much for coming. We're just about out of time. We've been talking with master teacher poet, author, Abena Walker, and her new book, Beyond Therapy. And we're looking forward to having you back, Mama, when we have more time. So it's been beautiful having you here. Look forward to coming you back so we can do it one more again, as they say.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm
so
Poet Danny
much.
Queen. This is the E-Life Media, Facebook Live. Danny Queen here at Color Me Poetry. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, peace, love, peace, and poetry.
All right.
Be at peace. I
Thank you so
am, I
much.
can, I will.